Okay, so if things that are able to communicate with each other, besides the fact of moving around, is an indication that they are alive, would that mean that people who don't communicate with each other are technically not truly living? I mean, I think that's a lot of what Jesus was talking about, like knowing the difference between somebody who's dead and somebody who's alive. Because, like, there's people that are walking around that are actually not alive, but they can move around and interact and even communicate. So it couldn't be communication that is the. It could be communication though. Because when you communicate with somebody, that's how you get to know. That's how you find out who they are. That's how you recognize the contents. Communication must be a form of like knocking on the door. And they open the door and begin to speak. So, if Jesus was talking about saving, getting saved, and he would talk about two different deaths, right? He would talk about things that we kind of just dismiss these days, like eternity, like the concept of that. People only want to think in the frame of like, why would he kill me? I think it's really what he was saying is that when you don't, if you're not really alive, if you're not really alive, and then you die, because I thought of, like hell, if we really, really like think about something like that, that's a deep, deep, deep thought of some seriousness. Death is a serious thing, but we watch it so often and so much, like, I don't know. But I think it's kind of confusing also because I guess it's not that it's confusing because I don't like the word confusing. It reminds me of Satan is the master of confusion. So if it's confusing, then it must be um, generated by Satan, a created lie. There's confusion involved. So I'm like, it's not that it's confusing, it's that I'm trying to understand, like, from what I understand about my own life and what I'm doing in life and how I respond and the things that I do in life. I know that I want to help people, even though I'm in my own life doing my own forms of being in need of help, like, and I feel like Mostly thankful. I think it's important to be thankful, but if we're really trying to decipher the most important question and answer, um, to things that are constantly being dismissed or just not communicated about, or like saying some, oh my gosh, yes, I have to say, I have to tell you this. So I don't know why sometimes thoughts just pop into my head. Yeah, I know, for you too. So but we have to make sure we understand where they're leading us. And that's when you got to know the difference between good and bad, and right and wrong, and knowledge of yourself is extensively important. So I had this thought about this church I was going to, and I remember driving up. I see this lady standing over there talking to a man, and she's wearing like this skin tight dress. And I think it went like right above her knee or something. I don't know, but I just remember like looking away, like, for reals, bro, for reals. And then I had this thought, like, imagine if I envisioned myself, like, if I were to walk up to her and be like, hey, did, I don't know if you know this, but like, everybody could see your underwear through that dress. And like, imagining how this lady's response would be, and then possibly saying, did you know that you're emitting the spirit of Jezebel? And how angry she would get. How, like, and then just kind of stepping back and watching or something, like, how is this lady going to respond, Because, like, I don't know. I even envisioned part of the vision, like, why couldn't I go up to, how come the men of that church don't say something to people who dress like that in their church? Like, it's a church. Like, isn't church supposed to be somewhere that you're able to, like, be your little conservative self without being ashamed? But when you go up in there acting all worldly and looking all worldly, you do feel ashamed. So you're supposed to, because you're there with all kinds of people that are normally the weird ones in society, acting all conservative, being all conservative, praying out in public, doing all the work to try to tell people about Jesus and how he could save them and stuff like that. Yeah, we look like the crazy ones out here in the world. When you go into church, you're supposed to be able to look like the normal ones. And the worldly ones stand out. They stand out so much that it makes them not want to come back. So, what does it mean when that is no longer the case? When it is the world inside of the church? And it just confirmed to me, yeah, super don't want to go over there. I just think it's not the place for me. You know what also is crazy? Like, the most rude dudes I've met, like, I mean, I can't say the most rude, because actually the ones who don't believe are the worst, but I've met some really not kind guys who we end up talking to each other because they say they love Jesus, and then when we talk to each other for a little while, this immediate it's like 3 o'clock in the morning right now. There's this ladies walking by with their very loud shoes. But yeah, so anyways, that was my thought. And I thought it was an interesting thought to ponder upon, to splash around in thine mouth, to think about. I think it's good to think. I think it's really, really good to just think. Just lay there and think. I think there's a problem if you're afraid to think. That's how you know when fear is showing you, that maybe you need to address something within yourself. I've been working on my human services class and posting these things called discussion. And they're like kind of, I think, I wouldn't say an essay, but they're just writing. You're writing. And I like it because I get to just freely write what I think should happen, how I think I could help with things, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it kind of makes me envision not being where I'm at. Not really focused on where I'm at, but what I can do possibly in the future. And it's pretty fun. I would suggest anybody who has an interest in helping people get into some of those classes, because I wouldn't be able to say that they're difficult in the sense of making your brain hurt or making you want to cry like meth. And when you take a logic and critical thinking class in the summer and it's all speeded up, yeah, no. Anyways, we shall talk again about more thoughts and interesting things to converse about, communicate about, to get to know people, getting to know all about people. People are interesting. I think people are very interesting. And I think that the way that people respond to somebody is extensively telling of their contents, especially when that person is you and you're super being nice and you're trying to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. You have to do what you got to do. They're in a job and they're treating you badly while they're in their job. That usually means they're not focused on service in their mind as a person. In general, their intention and their position is not service, or else they would not become angry, mean, or anything other like that's negative. So I just I recognize that in different places everywhere. It's crazy how you start to see more and then you start thinking things are, like, oh my God, like it's all brand new, but it's just like that you just been able to start seeing things because you just learned some stuff. But they've always been there. It's always been that way. Now you can see it. Now you can see it. Congratulations. Welcome. Welcome to life.